Hi, welcome to our session on soft skills and work environments in the games, animation and VFX industries. My name is Silke and I'm one of the researchers on the Paneurama team. As a team, our goal is to help bridge the gap between industry and educational institutions, enhancing students' preparedness to enter and thrive in the workforce, thereby contributing to a sustainable talent pool. Through the Paneurama project, we create a platform for stakeholders to collectively assess industry expectations and educational practices. This partnership not only aligns current efforts but also lays the foundation for future collaboration. By facilitating these discussions, Paneurama offers actionable insights relevant to all areas of creative business. While the findings are not exhaustive or generalizable, they serve as a starting point for conversation, inviting all parties to share experiences and explore new ways to strengthen the connection between education and industry. In our first study, we brought together over 75 leading experts from industry and educational institutions, as well as students from across Europe to discuss their experiences. We asked two key questions. What soft skills do industry professionals expect from recent graduates? And how do industry professionals, educational institutions, and students perceive and navigate these expectations? The answer to our first question about the ideal employee in terms of soft skills became clear fairly quickly. When examining the most frequently mentioned terms that describe the core skill set expected of these ideal employees, the following word cloud emerges. The size of each word reflects how often it was used by participants to characterize the ideal employee. The most commonly cited attributes for the current ideal employee are humble, adaptable, team player, and perfect fit. This brings us to the first trend we observed. There is increasing recognition and reward for humble, adaptable team players over rockstar employees. In an industry that is constantly evolving, the focus has shifted towards collaboration and team efforts, rather than relying on the brilliance of a single individual. While rockstars have historically delivered exceptional work, demonstrated full dedication and shown a willingness to work overtime, participants noted that they often lack adaptability and struggle to adjust to ongoing changes. Although some workplaces still actively seek rockstar employees for their unique skills, there is a clear industry trend towards hiring adaptable team players who can thrive in a dynamic, collaborative environment. Together with the participants, we explored what it means to be a humble, adaptable team player in the unique context of the games, animation and VFX industries. Through these discussions, we identified 10 key dimensions of adaptability essential for success in this field. Participants emphasized that the ideal employee should excel at collaboration and fit well with both the job and the team. Beyond possessing strong problem-solving skills, they should genuinely enjoy tackling challenges. Staying current with industry needs is crucial, as is the ability to self-evaluate and update their skills accordingly. Receiving and acting on feedback, regardless of the source within the hierarchy, is another important quality. Ideal employees should be capable of working effectively with clients and managing deadlines and budgets. Cultural competence and the ability to communicate effectively with diverse cultures, generations, and areas of expertise are also valued. A significant shift we noted is in attitudes towards overtime. Rather than expecting employees to work excessive overtime, the ideal is to have staff who can flexibly handle extra hours when necessary, but who also prioritize a healthy work-life balance. This balance supports a sustainable workforce and allows employees time for creative inspiration beyond the work environment. Finally, the ideal employee should be mindful of the industry's global nature. This requires a willingness to relocate if needed and proficiency in English at a professional level. The participants referred to this new approach as a no-asshole hiring policy, emphasizing that they prioritize hiring people who are nice to work with over those who may have excellent skills but are difficult team members. While participants expressed a clear commitment to this direction in the hiring policy, they also noted that it's not always as straightforward as it seems. When examining the application and selection processes together, a contrasting skill set emerged that tends to stand out in an oversaturated job market. Being highly skilled, ambitious and adept at self-promotion. This discrepancy between the collaborative, team-oriented skills employers say they value and the ambitious, self-promoting traits that tend to succeed in a competitive job market creates a challenging dynamic for both applicants and hiring teams. During the application process, industry professionals must transition from presenting themselves as the ideal applicant to proving they are the ideal employee. To stand out in a crowded field, applicants need to capture attention with their skills and personal brand. However, once they reach the interview stage, they must go beyond qualifications to show that they are not only a strong fit for the role, but also an asset to the team's culture and dynamics. Mastering this dual challenge is, according to the participants, important for securing the position. This means that the ideal graduate needs to become both the humble, adaptable team player and the highly skilled, competitive self-promoter. To meet these dual expectations, industry participants offered several key pieces of advice for students. First, they recommended that students begin with an early career specialization. This involves, from the start of the education, gaining an understanding of the industry landscape, evaluating personal skills and aligning these with specific career aspirations. Industry experts emphasize the importance of an early reality check to help students identify where they best fit within the sector and focus their skill development accordingly. Furthermore, students should specialize early to keep pace with the evolving demands of their chosen field, while also remaining adaptable to shifting industry trends throughout their studies. At the same time, it's essential for students to signal to the industry where they want to work and what unique skills they bring. This requires building an adaptable personal brand from the outset. Participants also suggested that students actively network with key players in their chosen area and seek mentorship opportunities, approaching industry professionals with clear goals and intentions. Currently, participants observe that many students reach out to industry professionals without specific objective, which can lead to disengagement. However, a more targeted approach, where students reach out with defined career goals and tailored questions, can encourage industry leaders to engage and mentor young talent more effectively. Finally, students should create tailored portfolios from the start, clearly showcasing their skills and career objectives to make a strong impression and stand out in a competitive job market. When speaking with representatives from educational institutions, they shared that they often feel tasked with cultivating rock stars that are able to play in a band. Their challenge is to prepare students to meet industry's team-oriented expectations while equipping them to navigate the highly individualistic job market. Additionally, they are committed to fulfilling their educational mandate by guiding students in their personal development, fostering their ability to make critical, innovative, and ethical decisions. All of this must be achieved while emphasizing the importance of maintaining a healthy work-life balance. We explored with educational experts how they approach and manage these complex, sometimes contradictory demands. Overall, universities across Europe are increasingly shifting from a purely academic focus to a more industry-oriented approach in response to evolving market demands. While some institutions still prioritize traditional academic models, many are adopting more collaborative and student-centered methods. This transformation includes integrating group projects, fostering industry partnerships, and offering personalized learning paths that emphasize self-directed learning. The shift towards individualized and project-based learning offers significant benefits, as highlighted by the participants, but it also presents challenges, particularly with the growing student populations as these programs gain popularity. As student numbers rise, educators face increasing pressure to provide the personalized attention necessary to fully realize the potential of these learning methods. Many participants noted difficulty in ensuring that every student receives the full benefit of this approach. In addition, teaching staff reported a struggle with transitioning from being the all-knowing expert lecturer to adopting the role of an experienced coach or mentor. In this new role, they don't always have the answers, but instead guide students to discover solutions themselves or connect previous knowledge with new insights. Several educators mentioned feeling unprepared for this shift, with some noting that they are still being trained in traditional teaching methods, even as they are expected to implement more progressive approaches. Senior faculty, particularly those with extensive industry experience, sometimes feel undervalued, perceiving their role as being reduced to that of a coach, something they feel anyone could do. Others feel intimidated when students possess greater or more current knowledge in certain areas, adding pressure during the learning journey. These feelings can lead to some faculty members to resist the shift, clinging to traditional methods. As a result, curricula often contain a mix of contradictory teaching approaches, creating confusion for both staff and students and further increasing the workload for all involved. Compounding the issue, many students enter university with the expectation of traditional teaching, where the lecturer serves as the primary source of knowledge. Transitioning to a self-directed independent learning model can be a difficult adjustment for these students, leading to additional friction in the learning process and making the overall transition more challenging for both educators and learners. Conflicting expectations from the industry create a challenging environment for educational institutions. On one hand, the industry promotes the ideal of an adaptable team player with a healthy work-life balance. Yet, according to the participants, it often still seeks young talent that is highly skilled, passionate and compliant, willing to endure demanding work conditions without advocating for better treatment. This further undermines the vision of the adaptable team player. Educators often find themselves caught in the middle of these mixed signals. Some, shaped by traditional industry norms, continue to emphasize excellent individual skills over teamwork or collaboration. They feel validated in this approach by industry expectations that sometimes prioritize exceptional technical ability over interpersonal skills. This creates tension. While the demand for highly skilled individuals is evident, there's also a push for adaptable, collaborative team players, an ideal that is frequently overshadowed. This tension is further intensified by students, particularly in the game design programs, who often enter with big dreams and a determination to do whatever it takes to succeed. Driven by passion and ambition, many students chase the dream of landing a position at a top-tier company right after graduation. In their pursuit of success, according to the participants, these students are often willing to endure challenging conditions, sometimes at the expense of their own well-being. And even educators who are eager to focus on the ideal stated that they face a significant ethical dilemma. Should they prepare students to meet the demands of an oversaturated job market, potentially feeding into the cycle of unhealthy work environments? Or should they prioritize training professionals who value balance and teamwork, knowing these graduates might struggle to secure a job in such a competitive landscape? This choice feels for some participants like a difficult balance between producing cannon fodder for the industry or fostering future-proof employees, each approach carrying its own risks. Moreover, the growing competition between universities adds another layer of pressure. With more programs emerging, institutions are competing intensely for top students and industry recognition. As a result, according to the participants, students often feel pressured to create standout portfolios not only for their own success but also for their university's reputation. This heightens the stress and workload for both students and staff alike. In the midst of these challenges, teaching staff expressed that they personally feel the pressure of the rapidly changing nature of the industry and technology. They feel the need to stay up to date with technological advancements and industry trends, spend time exploring new software, adopt new workflows, and build networks to create relevant current projects for their students. However, within the demanding teaching environment, they struggle to find the time for this. As a result, many feel insecure and frustrated. Some also stated that they feel left alone, believing there is a lack of understanding and support for their efforts. When we spoke with student participants about how they are navigating industry demands, job market realities, and what universities are offering, we saw also here a clear appreciation of teamwork, a strong rise in mental health awareness across the board. But students are also grappling with the mixed messages they are getting from industry, job market, and education, which is leaving them unsure about how to navigate these contradicting expectations. Students report that they, for example, face significant challenges with group work. While they appreciate group projects as safe spaces to gain early work experiences and build peer networks, they struggle with the time-intensive nature of these projects, which leaves little time for individual skill development and self-promotion. A key issue raised by students is the quality and uniqueness of project outputs. Group projects often emphasize the process over the final product, which means the results are frequently not considered portfolio-worthy. Additionally, if every member uses the same project in their portfolio, they risk losing a competitive edge. Consequently, many students feel pressured to work beyond their assigned hours to enhance their portfolios individually. This additional workload can lead to burnout, causing some students to disengage from group responsibilities, which ultimately weakens their peer networks. Group dynamics can also become strained when students with varying skill levels are placed together. Highly skilled students may become frustrated, creating stressful or even toxic environments. Conversely, groups composed entirely of highly skilled students may push each other to the limit, potentially fostering unhealthy work dynamics. Overall, many participants stated that they need more time and support for self-promotion and networking. These pressures, the students said, leads them to make decisions about their work mindset. They talk about experiencing a kind of reality check very early on in their time at university. While have been used to being top of the class in high school, they look at their peers at university and realize that they might not be the best anymore. Faced with skill levels of their peers and confronted with job market requirements and industry standards, they realize they must make decisions regarding their work mindset that will impact their academic journey and career path. In the first few weeks at university, students conduct a critical self-evaluation of their skills in relation to their peers and the demands of the job market. They must then determine how much time and effort they are willing and able to invest within the constraints of the educational environment. The student participants identified 3 primary approaches that they recognize among their peers. The Rockstar approach. Students adopting this approach focus primarily on their individual skills development and on excellent portfolios. They invest the minimum necessary hours in group projects unless these projects involve other rockstars, promising exceptional output. The middle path, the competitive improvement mindset. These students give 200% by embracing a competitive improvement mindset, committing fully to both individual development and group work. They hope that securing a job in the industry will eventually lead to a more manageable workload. And many junior professionals stated that they have followed that path and indeed experiencing that working in the industry is a lot more relaxed than their study. The self-preservation mindset. These students prioritize work-life balance over their initially ambitious career goals, choosing to maintain a healthier lifestyle rather than pushing themselves to the limits. And all of these challenges and choices happen in the context of being asked to not burn out and remain a healthy work-life balance, which adds on to the stress according to the students, which the following quote highlights. "I have the feeling every time a lecturer comes into the room, I need to strike a yoga pose." Which leads us to our key takeaways. All three groups seem to share a common vision of a healthy, supportive work environment filled with adaptable, humble team players who can navigate the dynamic international landscape in a sustainable way. Each group seems to genuinely strive toward this goal, but significant barriers complicate the path forward. One of the main challenges is the oversaturated job market, which pressures professionals to cultivate a contradictory skill set. While the ideal employee is described as a collaborative, adaptable team player, the job market still favors individuals who can stand out through highly competitive self-promotion and specialized skills. This creates a tension for all three players, industry, students and educators. A crucial point that emerged is that the responsibility to adapt does not fall solely on students. While adaptability is frequently emphasized as an essential trait for the ideal employee, the voices across all parties made it clear that true progress requires adaptability from everyone involved, students, educational institutions, and industry professionals alike. This shared adaptability is important to overcoming the challenges that currently cloud the shared vision of the ideal employee. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our brief summary of the first Paneurama research. For more detailed insights and findings, please explore the full report. We invite you to join us in our goal of closing the gap between industry and educational institution by becoming part of this collaborative effort. Visit our website to learn more, join our community on LinkedIn, or connect directly with our research team via email.